Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Ram, Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram, Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram,
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 Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Ram,
Hare Hare, Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare
Hare
वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, assembled devotees की जय। May you know who will join this mid morning? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Vrinda's mother, जी शिल प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। दंडवत प्रणाम to you and all Vaishnava. शिल प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय।
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and giving your sweet association. Welcome to the call. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, glories to Guru and Gauranga and all the civil devotees. This is Shashidhar joining from Texas.
Hare Krishna Shashidhar Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Prabhu for joining every day and chatting so beautifully. It is so inspiring to all of us Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandot Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shama Gauri Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna Shama Gauri Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and chanting and also sharing the screen in mid-morning. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna Yeshumati Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day, early morning, mid-morning and chanting so beautifully. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Vinita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Shastra Prabhupada. This is Preeti Lasni Devi Dasi from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and encouraging all of us. All glories to your services. Welcome to the call. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam. So glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirtida Sundari Dasi.
Hare Krishna Kirtida Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nice to hear your sweet voice Mataji. Welcome to the call. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, I could see your smile, Mataji. I don't know whether it's a genuine or a sarcastic.
Hi Mataji, no Mataji. I was so feeling like how Mataji could give a minute before class. That's why I was like, Mataji, only Mataji can do this. Nobody else can do. Of course, our Krishna Vilasni Mataji was there. She's right now busy with the work. That's why she's not able to do. But I always think, wow, Mataji is just 30 minutes before class changed everything. Speaker has
Agree, Mataji. Spiritual sign, smile.
Yeah, correct. Thank you, Vrinda Gopika Mataji.
Mataji, she's very empowered. She will-
Yes. Yes, Mataji, correct. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Before we start the class, as usual, we will read Srila Prabhupada's quote. Today's Srila Prabhupada quote. November 15th. Some reason I cannot see. Can you all see that?
No, Mataji.
It got stuck, I think, Mataji, my computer. Okay, I will read from the phone. Okay. Number 15. Philosophy is the highest, but even higher than philosophy is practice of philosophy. So if you simply remain pure, your preaching will have effect. Letter to Brihaspati, November 15th, 1971. Hope you all could hear me. I don't know, my computer got stuck. So welcome to Bhakti Sangha once again. Today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Kirtida Mataji to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda, chapter 13, 198 verse to 206. Thank you so much, Mataji. I am really very happy to hear from you, Mataji. Hari Bol, take over the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Thank you each and every one of you for joining us today in this session of Chaitanya Bhagavat. And today's the quote that Vinita Gandharvika Mataji read is actually the basis of today's session. So thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada, for that quote, and thank you so much, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, for reading it aloud for today's session. Because that's the topic for today's session. So thank you. So we'll start now our session. Start with our prayers and then we'll continue. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vidamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchatattvatakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Ananda Leela Maya Vigrahaya Hema Vadivya Chavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajanulambita Bhujau Kanakavadhatau Sankirtanaikapitaro Kamalayatakshav Vishwambarau Dujavarau Yugadharma Balau Vande Jagat Priyakarau Karunavataro Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Jayati Jayati Kirti Stasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhritya Stasya Vishveshva Murtir Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam Mukham Karoti Vachalum Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripahatam Ham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Thank you all devotees. Thank you so much for joining. And please, first of all, forgive me for my voice. I have a little sore throat, cough and cold. So please bear with me today. Also, as you know, that this is a last minute change. So again, forgive me because I'm not at all prepared for this session. But whatever Mahaprabhu inspires, whatever Krishna Radharani inspire from within, try to speak few words. And today's actually verses are very, very straightforward, very, very simple. Nothing much to say about it. I'm not a great person who can churn the verses even from the simplest verses. So, but whatever comes from the heart, we'll try to say some few words. So definitely need all your blessings, your prayers, your wishes. Please shower them so that I can speak something relevant to the subject matter. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripasindhubhaiva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai, Namacharya Shila Hridas Thakur ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we will just do a recap, because just to set the context where we are in. And we'll spend some time on the recap, because as I already told you that today's verses are very straightforward. So it's just a mere reading, and that too only few verses, so that we can cover in just 10 minutes. So we'll spend some time in the recap, because that's how, the important instructions being given to this Digvijay Pandit by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which also applies to all of us, we being the sadhakas, trying to attain our sadhya. So definitely we also need to follow those instructions. So let's spend some time. I know it may be a repetition for many of you, but it's good. In Krishna consciousness, even the repetition is good. As we just passed Damodar month, every day we were hearing the glories of Lord Damodar, hearing the same pastime, and every devotee was churning in a different way. And, we can hear so many realizations of the devotees, but the same pastime was repeated, and we can hear so much new about it. So it's always good. So please bear with me. Okay, so we are in the section where Digvijay Pandit was finally defeated by Lord Gaurasundar. Our Nimai Pandit has defeated Keshav Kashmiri, please forgive me. Though the name is not being, mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, neither in Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and our Vrindavan Das Thakur has given the name as Digvijay Pandit. So this Digvijay Pandit was defeated, but with that defeat came the blessing. Though he was defeated by Nimai Pandit, but later in his dream, his Ishta Devi, his goddess of Lakshmi, goddess of Saraswati, goddess of learning, Saraswati Devi came and finally revealed him the most confidential aspect of Lord Gaurasundar, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that Gaurasundar, Gaurachandra, he came as a Channavatar, right? He doesn't want to reveal his identity as the Supreme Lord. That was not his aim. His aim was to come as a devotee, to relish the pastimes, being in a devotee and establishing a Yuga Dharma and giving Premadan to everybody. Right? That's what his aim was. But he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was revealed to by Goddess Saraswati to this Digvijay Pandit. So though he was defeated, but with that defeat came with this wonderful blessing that came in the form of a most confidential part that Lord Gaurasundar is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So finally, when he realized that, he went to Gaurasundar and he paid his prostrate obeisances. And Mahaprabhu was perplexed. He said, why you are doing this? Why you are bowing down? What is the purpose of your act? Why you are bowing down in front of me? You're such a pandit, you're such a great learned. And then finally, this Brahmana, this Digvijay Pandit, told everything to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu smiled. He simply smiled. But then, being asked by that Brahmana, by the Digvijay Pandit, Mahaprabhu then said, because he asked that I want to know more, he offered his prayers and he said that now you have to tell me, you have to instruct me in such a way that there should be no material desires in my heart. And being a sadhaka, we all are struggling with this thing, right? We all have some material desires in our heart, which is basically becoming an impediment for us to go to Krishna or to understand Krishna or to see Radha and Krishna in our heart. We are not able to do it. It's not that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not that potent. Prabhupada, we all know this, that once somebody asked Prabhupada that how much time will it take for me to go home back to Godhead or to understand Krishna? And Prabhupada said just 1 minute. So is that Prabhupada's words were not correct? Or is that the Mahamantra is not that potent? No, both of them are equally potent. Even Prabhupada's words, the words that is emanating from the lotus mouth of the pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, definitely it is true. It takes only a minute to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead or to achieve our sadhya, to achieve our goal, that is Krishna Prem. And this Mahamantra is sure enough, is 100% potent. 100% potent, is able to give us Krishna Prem. That is what Hare Krishna Mahamantra stands for. But still we are still struggling to chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and to attain our sadhya. Why? Because of this desire, this one thing that is material desire, which is embedded in our heart from lifetime after lifetime, from time immemorial. It is there in our heart that is acting as an impediment on our path of progress to Krishna Bhakti. So therefore, here also, Digvijay Pandit is asking that, please instruct me in such a way that there is no material desires in my heart. Oh Mahaprabhu, I really offer my prayers to you. Now you have to instruct me. And Mahaprabhu, very beautifully, he said that, yes, oh Digvijay Pandit, you are such a learned scholar. You have full knowledge. But tell me, what is the use of this knowledge? The proper use of knowledge is to worship the Supreme Lord and try to understand that when one gives up this body, we cannot take wealth and reputation with us. So this is such an important instruction that Mahaprabhu gave. And also Lord Vinita Gandharvika Mataji read today the quote of Srila Prabhupada, where Srila Prabhupada says that, Mataji, if you don't mind, can you read once again that quote?
Yes, Mataji, definitely I will read it again. Yeah. Philosophy is highest, but even higher than philosophy is practice of philosophy. So if you simply remain pure, your preaching will have effect.
Yeah, so see, beautiful how Prabhupada is instructing us through this quote. That Prabhupada is also saying that, yes, philosophy is important, but simply philosophy will lead us to nowhere. So similarly, Mahaprabhu is also telling that, yes, knowledge is important and you have such a great knowledge. You are such a learned scholar. But what is the use of that knowledge if that knowledge is not used in the service of the Supreme Lord? If you are not able to worship the Supreme Lord, what is the use of knowledge? Try to understand this. And then Mahaprabhu said that when one gives up this body, all this knowledge, this wealth, this reputation, everything goes in vain. We all agree to it, right? Everything goes into vain. Nothing goes along with us to our next destination. In this regard, there is a very beautiful verse from, Subhashita Ratna Bhandar, there is a collection of few verses that teaches about the way of life, how to lead our life. And in that, there is a very beautiful verse where it says, Dhanani bhumo pashavascha goshthe, Nari graha dware janha shamshane, dehas chityam paraloka marge, karmano gachati jiva eka. What does it say? Dhanani bhumo, that whatever dhan we have attained in our life, it remains where? It only remains till the bank. Nowadays, the banks are there, we deposit, we keep our money, that saving account, we keep that for our so-called future. I'm not saying that from today onwards we should not save money, but not get so much attached to that savings. Because after all, when we leave this body, these savings are not going to go with us. Dhanani bhumo. Bhumo, why? Because in the previous days, people used to dig earth and they used to, bury their so-called wealth in earth. So what happened when they leave their life? When they leave their life, then when they leave their body, the same wealth is still there in that bhumi, in that earth. Nobody is able to take it, Somebody else, when dig the earth, will get it. But finally, the person who has made so much of effort, that wealth will be of no use. So dhanani bhumo. Pasavascha goshthe means the cows, the horses, the elephants, they will be there only till their shed, the cow shed or the horse stable, wherever the places they are there. They will not go along with us. So similarly, here in today's world, our so-called vahan, previously it was cows, horses, bullocks, but now it is our cars, our so-called cars, maybe too expensive cars we may have. That's not going to help us. They'll be still sitting in our driveway or in our garage or parking lots, right? They'll not go with us if the moment we leave this body. Nari graha dware. And what to talk about our own wife, means our own spouse. They will only be there till the door of the porch, because in previous days, the ladies were not allowed to go to the crematorium ground. Right? So when a man leaves the body, the wife only accompanies him till the doorstep, the door of the house. She cannot go beyond it. Right? And dehas chityam paralokamarga. And what to talk about this body whom we decorated so much, right? What to talk about this body? This body will only be with us till the time our chitta is there, means till the crematorium ground. After that, it will be burned and this body will be nowhere. Then what goes with us? Paraloka marge means that marg, which is going to that paralok, means another word. What will go along with us? Karmano gachati jiva eka. The only thing that goes along with us is our karma, is the activity we do. So therefore it says that conditioned souls, why do you get so much attracted to so-called possessions of this world? Because nothing is going to go with you. Everything will be here, will be left here. So here Mahaprabhu is also telling this Digvijay Pandit that what is the use of this knowledge? First of all, this knowledge has to be used in the service of Krishna, only then it is beneficial. Then he says that because we have to understand that when one gives up this body, we cannot take so-called knowledge, wealth, and reputation with us. Whatever goes with us is our activities that we have performed. If those activities are only for sense gratification, we'll yield the results accordingly. And if those activities are for the welfare, are done for the devotion, to show our devotion, to show our love for Lord Shri Krishna, then definitely it's a devotional service. Then this way, he says that basically renounce everything, renounce your material endeavor and just serve Krishna, serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And up to the time of death, so there is no lagging, no lag should not be there, that, okay, today I'm doing my 16 rounds, tomorrow I'll do 32, and then I'll come to 8, and then I'll come to 4. That's not. We have to be consistent in our devotional service, and we should try to do it till the last breath we take. No excuses. Apratihata, ahituki apratihata. Our devotional service should be uninterrupted and unmotivated. We should not have some kind of motivation that, okay, if I'll do this, then I'll get this. No, that's the basic way of understanding, the devotees, they perform their bhajan because there may be XYZ reason, but the basic, the lowest form of doing one bhajan is either out of fear or out of duty. That yes, I have given vow to my spiritual master that I'll chant 16 rounds every day, so I am chanting. This is the lowest way of performing one's bhajan, doing it out of one's duty. It's not wrong. It's better than those who are not doing it. But again, this is not the highest. The highest is when we love to do it, when there is a love for the Supreme Lord, when we want to do it, when we want to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and that we should do up to the time of our death. And then Mahaprabhu says that know without doubt that the goal of knowledge is to fix one's mind on Krishna's lotus feet. And the best advice I can give you is that devotional service to the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the only substantial truth throughout the world. So then Mahaprabhu said that yes, you have knowledge, but try to fix that knowledge. Try to have that knowledge to be fixed on Krishna's lotus feet. That should be our goal. That should be our sadhya. That everything what we do should be for the pleasure of Lord Shri Krishna, for the pleasure of Srimati Radharani. And therefore, Mahaprabhu said that the best advice that he can give is that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the only substantial truth throughout all the three worlds. So we have to perform devotional service. And in this regard, there is a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam where Narad Muni instructs, when Narad Muni says that Tyaktva swadharma charanam rijin harer bhajan apakko atha patet yato yadi tat yatra kwa abhadram abhud amushya kim ko vartha apto bhajatam swadharmataha. What does it mean? That if somebody is engaged in some kind of material occupation, right, but is also performing one's devotional service, may look sometimes that the person has fallen down because of some immaturity. But still there is no danger of him becoming unsuccessful till the time that person is engaged in the devotional service. So what here the point is that we have to somehow or other engage ourselves in devotional service. Now, while being on the path of performing devotional service, even if sometimes we are engaged in so-called material occupation, still Krishna says that there is no fall down. Whereas a non-devotee, a person who is not on the path of devotional service and is engaged in his occupational duties 100% right, still he does not gain anything. So that's what Mahaprabhu is teaching, that you have to perform devotional service. Whatever caliber you have, whatever capabilities you have to engage in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. Like here it is says that even if somebody has some kind of material occupations, and one is tend to perform, but there is no so-called fall down, Krishna will take care till the time that person is on the path of devotional service. Like on the path, imagine that you are walking on the path of devotional service and there are some impediments, there are some stumbling blocks, but you will be able to cross, because you are on the right path to lead to the destination. Whereas another person is walking on a very smooth road, very smooth. There are no impediments, no struggles, nothing, and walking very, very smoothly. But if that is not taking us to the right destination, what is the use of taking that path? Right? The path has to be taken that which will lead us to our destination. If we are going from destination A to destination B, suppose destination B is our home, right? Is our own home where we live. And destination A is where we have gone, right? And now we have to come back to our home. Now, while coming back on to our home, even if we have to take so-called highways where there are some traffic, but still that is good rather than taking off-road, which is very, very smooth, but is not taking us on to the destination of our home. What is the use of driving that far on that road, which is not leading us to our destination, rather taking us away from our destination? Even though it is without traffic, it's a very smooth way and, no traffic and very nice road. What is the use of taking that road? No use. Rather, it's better to get stuck in a highway, in a traffic, but at least it will lead us to our destination, to our goal, to our home. At least later, sooner or later, we will reach our home. So better to take that path. Same Mahaprabhu is telling that do the devotional service, because even while performing devotional service, there are some so-called impediments, some so-called material desires, but still there is no danger of being unsuccessful. Whereas a non-devotee who is simply going to the path and is not on the path of devotional service, he will not gain anything at all. He will not gain. So the only substantial truth is that do devotional service. That's what Mahaprabhu instructed him. And this way, after instructing, so these are such important instructions that we sadhakas should also try to imbibe in our lives. It is not only for Digvijay Pandit. Maybe we can take it as a pastime, that through Digvijay Pandit, Mahaprabhu is guiding all of us, right? That Mahaprabhu is guiding us that you have to do this. And this way, Mahaprabhu, after giving these instructions to Digvijay Pandit, he embraced. And finally, it has been described by Vrindavan Das Thakur that as soon as Mahaprabhu embraced this Digvijay Pandit, immediately that renunciation, that knowledge and devotional service immediately got manifested into the body of that Brahmana. So true, right? So just by receiving the instructions from Mahaprabhu, this renunciation, knowledge and devotional service, they immediately got manifested in the body of Digvijay Pandit. And this is what Mahaprabhu came to give us, right? In Caitanya Charitamrita also, there is a very beautiful verse where Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, we all know that how he was impersonalist, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But then for 7 days, when he got the association of Mahaprabhu, he immediately got to know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he, in glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wrote very beautiful 2 verses and he gave it to Gopinath. And he told that, why don't you just give these 2 verses? He wrote on a palm leaf and he told that, why don't you go and give these verses and present it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I wrote it with my heart after realizing that Mahaprabhu is actually, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Gopinath, he read those verses and finally he wrote down on the wall, before entering to Mahaprabhu's place, he wrote down outside the wall where all the devotees were reading. And later, along with Mahaprasad, he offered that palm leaf to Mahaprabhu. And as soon as Mahaprabhu read, he just tore off. He said, what is this? Because it was glorification of Mahaprabhu. And what he wrote was, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharthameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Diryastam Aham Prapadde. Very beautiful verse. And he says that I surrender onto the lotus feet of Aham Prapadde. I surrender unto the lotus feet of that Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Kripam Buddhir, who is ocean of mercy. And what he came to give, Vairagya, he came to give us, to teach us Vairagya, Vidya and Nija Bhakti, his own devotional service of his own, because he is not different from Krishna, right? So his own devotional service he came to give. So he came to teach us Vairagya, Vidya and Nija Bhakti Yoga. That's what Mahaprabhu came to give us. So as soon as Mahaprabhu embraced this Digvijay Pandit, immediately this Vairagya, this renunciation, true renunciation, not the false renunciation, not the Shamshan Vairagya or Markat Vairagya or Falgu Vairagya, no, the true Vairagya, the real renunciation, this Vairagya, renunciation, Vidya, the true knowledge of the Supreme Lord, knowledge of pure devotional service, and Nija Bhakti Yoga and his own devotion, all of them 3 got manifested in the body of this Digvijay Pandit as soon as Mahaprabhu embraced, because that's the reason Mahaprabhu came for. That's what Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is writing, right? That he has descended, he is the ocean of Kripa, he is descended in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord. He is descended in through his transcendental mercy, just to give his kripa. He has descended in this world to give these three things to all of us. That is Vairagya, that to teach us real knowledge, devotional service, and detachment. All these three things he came to give us. So immediately these three things got manifested in the body of Brahmana, and his pride, because he was full of pride, right? His heart was full of pride. His pride immediately got destroyed, and finally Mahaprabhu initiated him in the mantra of Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahisuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. He was initiated in this mantra to become more humble than a blade of grass. And then what Digvijay Pandit did, he gave up all his elephants, his horses, his wealth, whatever he has attained, he gave it in charity, and he continued his travel, again throughout the places he's been. And now he is no more attached, rather he is detached now. So as a detached person, he started roaming around. So that is what Vrindavan Das Thakur points out, that the natural characteristics of his mercy is that a person renounces even the position of a king to take the position of a mendicant. And we know, actually, Vrindavan Das Thakur in the next verse quotes, he gives the example, and he gives the example of Dabir Khas. So immediately the remembrance of Srila Rupa Goswami came in the heart of Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he gave this example that how a person renounces the position of a king and take the position of a mendicant just to obtain the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the classic example is of Dabir Khas, that is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was Dabir Khas, and he renounced everything. He left everything and just decided to live in the forest and to obtain the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this regard, there is also a beautiful pastime, and we know that how a king renounces his kingly attire is Maharaj Prataprudra. So in Bhakti Ratnakar, actually there is a incident that is being said, that how Srinivas Acharya, not Srivas Pandit, but Srinivas Acharya, the next generation of devotee, he decided he wanted to learn Bhagavatam. So he came to Gadadhar Pandit in Tota Gopinath, and he said that I want to learn Bhagavatam. But Gadadhar Pandit then told him that you should first go and meet Ramananda Rai, who is staying with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So you go and meet him first, and then you can come back. So Srinivas Acharya, when he went and he saw that how Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they all have winded up their pastimes. They have left for their eternal abode. So Ramananda Rai was there, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there. So Sarup Damodar Goswami has already left along with Mahaprabhu, but Rai Ramananda was there. And he was sitting with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and they both were, just discussing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the tears were rolling down on their cheeks, and they were totally absorbed in the ecstasy of remembering the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srinivas Acharya saw this, but at the corner of that room, he saw that King Prataprudra was sitting in a mendicant form, and he has taken the dress of a renounced order of life, and he was just sitting and witnessing and hearing those pastimes that these two stalwart devotees were discussing. So that's what even, this is an example why it is being said that how the king, he gives up his kingly opulence. He gives up his kingly opulence if he understands that this is not meant for the devotional service. So as soon as Mahaprabhu left, as soon as Sarup Damodar Goswami left, as soon as all the other devotees left, King Prataprudra, he renounced everything. He left his kingly opulence and he gave up. He said, what's the use of me of being? I was a king only to support Mahaprabhu's mission, so that everything I can just pass, because he was in Jagannath Puri, right? So all the rules and regulations, he can just easily say yes to it so that the mission of Mahaprabhu can flourish. But if Mahaprabhu is not there, then what's the use of me of becoming a king? So he retired, he renounced everything, he gave up his position of being a king, and he just accepted a renounced or a retired life so that he can relish more on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's katha. So therefore, Mahaprabhu Vrindavan Das Thakur writes that this is what it is, that one has to give up everything in this entire three worlds if it is not meant for the service of Lord Shri Krishna. And in this regard, this is actually, yes, though he quotes the example of, Rupa Goswami, he quotes, and also about King Prataprudra, we can make out that how they, being a pure devotee, they left everything. But what to talk all about them, even Mahaprabhu, what he did, he also gave up everything. He gave up his beautiful, most beautiful wife, Vishnu Priya. He gave up everything. There is a very beautiful verse in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where, there is a discussion between Karbhajana Muni and Nimi Maharaj, where Nimi Maharaj asked about some questions, and Karbhajana Muni started answering about the three yuga avatars, about how Krishna comes in Satya Yuga, in Dwapar Yuga, in Treta Yuga, and finally he describes about Kali Yuga, that how in Kali Yuga also Krishna comes, and there he quotes this very famous verse. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prari Yajanti Sumedasa. So after describing this, he actually describes that how this is actually these three verses in continuation. It is from 11th canto, chapter 5, 32, 33, 34, which describes about Mahaprabhu, the hidden incarnation, where when we say that, Bhagavatam doesn't tell us about Mahaprabhu or about the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it's wrong. Bhagavatam do discuss about the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu doesn't want that his incarnation should be, should be revealed in open. So definitely it has to be hidden, right? So definitely in these verses also, the identity of Mahaprabhu is hidden. It's not openly described, right? It's not openly described. So in this verse, I can just show you the verse. It's very beautiful verse. So we can just little bit spend time on this verse so that, we can get the idea that how even Mahaprabhu also gave up, he also renounced everything. I hope you all can see the verse. Tyaktva su dustaja surepshra laj lakshmi dharmishtha are vachasa yad agad aranyam mayam rigam daitapshitam anvadhat mande mahapurusha te charana. So this is a very beautiful verse, though it is describing the hidden identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but our Srila Sridhar Swami gave a pure vanilla commentary on this verse, and he says that this verse refers to Lord Ramachandra. Right, very true, because Tyaktva, he gave up. Lord Ramachandra, he gave up. Tyaktva means to give away. So dustaja, something which is very, very difficult to give. Surepshita, even not by human beings, it is very, very difficult to give by even the demigods, because the demigods, ipshita, they desire it. What they desire? Raja Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So even the demigods, they desire to have goddess of fortune with them. So it is very, very, if they get it, it's very difficult for them to give away. But here he says Lord Ramachandra immediately gave up, because he gave up. He gave up. Tyaktva sudustaja surepshita Raja Lakshmi. He gave up the fortune of Ayodhya. He gave up the title of being a king, a prince of Ayodhya. And it was so easy for him to give. Immediately he gave up. And why he gave up? Dharmishtha, because he was on the path of dharma. He wants to follow the religiosity. He wants to follow all the religious principles. And on whom order? Aryavachasa, on the order of his father. Because his father has given the boon to his wife, Mother Kaikai, wife Kaikai, he has given. And on the pretext of that, to follow the orders of his father, to maintain the honor of his boon that he has given to his wife, Lord Ramachandra immediately left. He left everything. And then where he went, Yad Agad Aranyam. Aranya means forest. He went to the forest. He was running in the forest. Here and there he went in the forest, right? And Maya Mrigam. And there he saw what? Maya Mrigam. That is a deer, which was not a real deer because he was in the form of he was actually the Asura, but he was in the form of a deer. Maya Mrigam, he saw that. And to get that Maya Mrigam, Daita Ipshitam, because that was desire by whom? By his wife, by Mother Sita Devi. Anvadhat, so he was running hither and thither in that forest to obtain that Maya Mrigam so that he can satisfy the desire of his consort, Mother Sita. And Vande Mahapurusha, the Charana Ravindam. So I bow down to that Supreme Lord Ramachandra. Now this is the one commentary that is given by Srila Sridhar Goswami. Now, our Jiva Goswami doesn't stop there. He says, well, this can be referred to, Jiva Goswami says that, well, this can be referred to Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is also, he also gave up Rajalakshmi, which is Tyaktva it says, right? Tyaktva Sudustajya, which is he gave up, which is very, very difficult to give up. What? Surepshita Rajalakshmi, that means the opulence of Mathura. He immediately gave up the opulence of Mathura, right? And he came to Vrindavan. But Dharmishtha, because he was also following the religious principles. Why? Because Aryavachasa, on the pretext of his parents, because Devaki and Vasudeva were asking Krishna that, because he came as a supreme form, as Narayan form, right? So they requested that, we want you to be a child and you have to save yourself because Kamsa can come any moment and will kill you also. So on the request of his father and mother, Aryavachasa, which is also means the request of superiors, he gave up. And Agadaranyam, he went to the forest of Vrindavan, where Vasudev Maharaj himself took Krishna to the house of Nand Maharaj. And there Maya Mrigam, and Jiva Goswami, very beautiful, right? Here Maya means Yoga Maya. So onto the illusion of his Yoga Maya potency, he was like a Mrigam, he was like an animal in the hand of Srimati Radharani, where he was simply doing something that pleases Srimati Radharani. And Daita Ipshitam, because Daita means something very, very dear to Krishna. And who is very dear to Krishna? Srimati Radharani. And it was Srimati Radharani's desire that she wants to be the controller of Krishna. So Krishna was under full control of Srimati Radharani. And Anvadha, therefore, he was running from forest to forest, just to give pleasure to Srimati Radharani. Like a Maya Mrigam, like a toy, like an animal, like a toy animal. He was dancing onto the words of Srimati Radharani, fulfilling her all desires. And he was running from forest to forest. Vande Mahapurusha te Charanaravindam. So I bow down to that Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. But the real meaning, what our Acharya says, because this is actually in the context of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu also gave up. What he gave up? Tyaktva Sudustajya Surepshata Raja Lakshmi. He gave up his beautiful wife, Shri Vishnu Priya. He gave up because it was very difficult for give up. Even what to talk about the demigods, they cannot give up the company of so-called Apsaras. What to talk about the goddess of fortune. And Mahaprabhu simply gave up Dharmishtha because he was following that religious principles. And Aryavachasa on the account of an Arya. Why? Because Mahaprabhu was actually cursed by a Brahmana. It has been described then when Mahaprabhu was doing his nocturnal kirtans in the house of Shiva's Angan, at that time there was a Brahmana who wanted to enter into that kirtan. So he knocked on the door. He wants to enter and witness those kirtan. But he was not allowed. And then, Brahmana, he got so he got really angry. So he went on the banks of Ganga, and what he did, he broke his Brahmin thread. And as soon as he broke his Brahmin thread, he cursed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said that, I curse you that, you may be bereft of all so-called material happiness. So this was the curse that was given by a Brahmana to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So on the account of Arya Vachasa, means on the account of his, the curse by a Brahmana, he gave up. He gave up his household activities. He gave up his Grahastha life. He gave up Srimati Vishnu Priya. He immediately gave up, which was so difficult to give up, even on the level of demigods, but he gave up. And what he did, and he went to the forest. He went from forest to forest to give this holy name to everybody. Maya Mrigam. Now here, Maya also means our Mahamaya. So we all, Jivas, we are in this Mahamaya. We are in the control of Mahamaya. And Mrigam also means illusion. And we are being illusioned that we are very happy in this world. This world is meant for me. I'm so happy in this world. I want to live eternally. This is the illusion that we are always in. But Mahaprabhu, he's Daita. Daita also means very, very merciful. Very, very merciful. So because he's so magnanimous, he is Anvadhat. He is running from forest to deliver us from this Maya Mrigam, from this illusion of being happy in this world. Because he has come to teach us what? Vairagya, that renounce everything, renounce and engage in my Bhakti Yoga. Right? And engage in the true knowledge. So that's what Mahaprabhu came to give us. So Mahaprabhu is giving us, being so magnanimous, he's teaching us that don't be illusioned, give up so-called illusion. He's running from forest to forest. He's going from town to town, village to village, just to teach us. Teach us means teach us like conditioned living entities who are engrossed, entangled in this world of illusion. And Mahaprabhu is teaching just to give us. So this whole verse also, it goes for Mahaprabhu also, and therefore says Vande Mahapurusha Charanarvindam. So therefore I bow down to Mahaprabhu, who is Mahapurusha. So this is how, we have to understand that it's not that Mahaprabhu is whimsically saying something. Yes, his devotees have followed, but also Mahaprabhu himself followed this advice that he's giving to others. Basically, he's walking his own talk. He's walking his own talk. He's not just simply sitting on Vyasasana and just saying something to Digvijay Pandit. No, he himself will do in future. He will do. He will renounce everything just to uplift the conditioned souls like us. Right? And then Vrindavan Das Thakur says that leaving talks of happiness from kingly opulence far aside, the devotees of Krishna consider even the happiness derived from liberation as insignificant. So in this regard also, we know that there are 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. What is this? Kleshagni, Shubhada, Moksha Laghuka Krit. That's what Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying. That even having the point of attaining liberation becomes insignificant if somebody compares it to pure devotional service. So pure devotional service is much, much, much more higher. That devotees even reject the liberation. They don't want liberation. So moksha laghu krit, that liberation becomes a very tiny in comparison to pure devotional service. Another characteristics are definitely Sudurlabha, then Sandaratma, Visheshatma, and Shri Krishna Akarshani. So that's what Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, that how, devotees, for them, the liberation becomes insignificant. And now, after speaking for around 48 minutes, now we will come to today's verses, because it's just, straightforward verses. So we'll try to just do it. Okay. Yeah. So 198. So Digvijay jina lena Shri Gaura Sundare, Shuni lena iha sabha nadiya nagare. Soon everyone heard Digvijay Jinalina. Digvijay was defeated by whom? By Shri Gaura Sundar. And this news was spread in the entire Nadia. Entire Navadvip came to know that Gaura Sundar has defeated Digvijay. Sakala lokera haila maha ascharya jnana nimai pandita haya mahavidvana. And people were all astonished. And they said, Nimai Pandit is a great scholar. Till that time, Nimai Pandit was just regarded as a grammarian, right? Someone who just teaches grammar to his students. But now, after defeating Digvijay, he was known as a great scholar, Mahavidyavan. Mahavidwan. Digvijay hariya chalila yara thani eta bada pandita arako thashuni nai. And he has even defeated Digvijay. We have never heard of such a scholar as Nimai. So people in Navadvip now are talking about Mahaprabhu, that how he has even defeated Digvijay. So we have never heard of such a learned scholar, because Digvijay was taking his Vijay Patra, right, from the entire India. He has been roamed and he has taken this Vijay Patra, and finally he came to Navadvip. So people were just talking that how Mahaprabhu has defeated even Digvijay Pandit. So how great scholar Mahaprabhu is. Sarthaka karena garva nimai pandita ebe ethana vidyahala vidita. The pride of Nimai Pandit is justified, and now his reputation has spread. So till now, Mahaprabhu has not, depicted any of his so-called opulence, any of his knowledge or his devotion, nothing. He was just a scholar. He was performing his scholastic pastimes. But this is the first time when people came to know about Mahaprabhu, that how great scholar he is. And therefore, Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying that Sarthaka karena garva Nimai Pandita, that even the pride of Nimai Pandit is justified now. Keha bole e brahmana yadi nyaya pade bhattacharya hai tabe kathana nanade. Now people in Nadia, they all were not pure devotees, right? We have read it before in previous chapters that how they were bhattacharis. They were so much involved into so-called Vedic Shastras, Gyan. So they said that, wow, if this Nimai studies logic, then he will certainly become a Bhattacharya. So they are still on the ground of making Mahaprabhu as one of the greatest Bhattacharya. They are not even realizing that who Mahaprabhu is. And why? This is all because of Mahaprabhu's own Yoga Maya Shakti, that they are still not able to understand that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Keha keha bole bhai mili sarva jane badi shimha bali pada vidivana tane. Someone said, oh brother, let us together award him the title of Badi Shimha. Badi Shimha, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur writes, that is the name of one of the Vaishnava from the line of Ramanuja. And he was like a lion in destroying the philosophy of monoism. It is to be understood that previously, whenever a scholar defeated another scholar, he was awarded the title of Badi Shimha. So now, because Mahaprabhu has defeated this Digvijay Pandit, so everybody, some group of Nadia people, they all said that we should give him the title of Badi Shimha, because he's the lion who defeated this Digvijay Pandit. Text 204. Hena sathahana ati mayara badai eta dekhaya jani bare shakti nai. Yet, even after seeing all this, the influence of the Lord's illusory energy is such that people did not understand him. So much so, everything happened, but still people were perplexed. They were bewildered. Why? Because they were under the pretext of Mahaprabhu's illusory energy, which was not allowing them to understand that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we discussed this, that this is the similarity between the atheist and the pure devotees, because both of them understand that Krishna is not the Supreme Lord. Atheists also believe that Krishna is not supreme. He is not supreme. He is just some superhuman person who is performing some superhuman activities. And even the pure devotees also don't understand that Krishna is supreme, because for them, Krishna is their Lala, Krishna is their friend, Krishna is their beloved. For them, Krishna is not God. Even though Krishna performs so many activities, so what if he kills Aghasur, Bakasur, Shakatasur, if he kills Arishtasur, so what? Even if he swallows the forest fire, so what? But our Madhumangal says, it is all because of my Brahmanical powers, because I chant some Brahmanical mantras, because of which Krishna is doing such activities. So they are not ready to accept that Krishna is supreme, because their love is so intense that no matter how much Aishwarya you mix in it, that still the love doesn't get diluted. Sorry. Just give me a minute. Sorry. So the love of the Brajvasis is so thick, it's so condensed, that no matter how much Aishwarya gets mixed in, no matter how many times Krishna himself performs such activities to prove them that he is something, he is the Supreme Lord, but their love is so condensed that they don't even agree that Krishna is supreme or he is some God. They still believe that Krishna is their son, their beloved, their friend. They have that relationship with Krishna. But outside Vrindavan, Krishna does little and people just bow down, in front of him, saying that, wow, you are so great. So even after seeing all this happening, the influence of Lord's illusionary energy is such that people do not understand that who Mahaprabhu is. Mata sarva narva deepa sarva jane prabhu rasat kirti sabha ghoshe sarva gane. And in this way, everyone in Navadvip broadcasts the pure glories of the Lord. I think so. We'll stop here. Okay, one more verse. Navadipavashira charane namaskara esa kala lila dekhi bhare shaktiyar. Therefore, Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying that I offer my respectful obeisances unto the residents of Navadvip. So see, now he is so much glorifying the residents of Navadvip, who had the ability to see all these different pastimes. They were the witness of all these pastimes. Vrindavan Das Thakur didn't get chance to see all these. So he's saying that I bow down to all the Navadvipasis who were the witness, who saw these pastimes and who had the ability to see all these pastimes. So I offer my respectful obeisances. But in purport, Saraswati Thakur writes that Shri Gaurasundara enacted his pastimes in Shri Navadvip Mayapur. The author offered his obeisances to all the fortunate souls who had the opportunity to see the Lord's pastimes during his manifestation, and those who later on saw those pastimes in their hearts, in their sadhana siddha stage. He thus teaches humility and modesty by setting an ideal example of subordination to the Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Adar. Those who are absorbed in material enjoyment, because there were some Navadvipasis who were involved in sense gratification. They were while residing in Navadvip, they do not have any information about the pastimes of Gaura. Why? Because they are simply busy in their own sense gratification. So they have no idea about Gaura Mahaprabhu or what he did or what are his pastimes. So leaving them aside, leaving such persons, the author offers his obeisances to entire Navadvipasis, to all those persons who are inclined, who are favorable, or inclined towards the service of the Lord. So this is till 206. We'll stop here, and last 3 verses will be covered tomorrow by Phaneshwari Mataji. So please join tomorrow to have the crux or the highlight of that entire thing in the entire chapter, which will be revealed by Phaneshwari Mataji. So thank you all so much. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Chaitanya jai, Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Quick question to the audience. How many of you think it was a spontaneous class? You can raise your hand.
She's always spontaneous, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Hari Hari Gauranga.
Yeah.
Jai Gauranga.
It was 0 time.
Hi Mataji. Tanbat Pranam to your sincere seva.
Yeah, she was
That
put
is no worse. Yeah.
2 minutes before the class. So, and she spoke for 1 hour. So thank you so much. It's amazing. It was such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful class. The way you even pulled out the verses and you discussed verses and you discussed the entire chapter and the glories of Mahaprabhu was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Mataji. As always, you're the best. Thank you so much for being there all the time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Preeti Lasni Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a beautiful class. As I already said, you are the person who can come and speak anytime, Mataji. You are very, very deep into the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastimes. Thank you so much. Such a beautiful class, and how nicely Prabhupada has connected, Prabhupada quote has connected to the class. It is always, for me, Prabhupada quotes are very heart-touching to me, Mataji. The answer that I'm searching for, or it will be like that, or the book that I'm reading, that and this quote is related, or the day is completely whole day is spent only on that quote only. I mean, whatever I do, it related to that quote only. It is so nice how Prabhupada always reciprocates with us. Very beautiful, Mataji. I really liked the class, all the points that you are sharing. I was thinking of one point, I forgot about mentioning that. The renunciation, how renunciation is very, very important. And the way you are telling, like how not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he followed and he showed how it should be. Not only he followed, if anybody can say, okay, he's Lord, he did it, but his all disciple, like line of the disciples were all were following it to show us example that how we can also lead our lives like that. Mataji, Lion Guru is Bhakti Vinod Thakur?
No, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur.
Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Okay.
Siddhanta Thakur is regarded as a Lion Guru.
Lion Guru, yeah, when you're talking about lion, that was referring that. Thank you, Mataji, for such a beautiful class. I open the forum for question and answers. If anybody have any questions, realizations, please go ahead.
Yeah, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, one thing I'll just second what you said, that, yes, Prabhupada quotes are such that at least since the day, I think so, we started reading Prabhupada's quote before the class, and whenever it's my time to give that session, always that quote gets connected to the class. Always I've seen. So it's so wonderful that, yes, Prabhupada reciprocates. He reciprocates with us.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, if there are any questions, realizations, please go ahead.
Mataji, that Vadai Simha, that one means Lion Guru?
It doesn't mean the Lion Guru. I searched for it, but I couldn't find. It is Badi Simha. Simha means lion, but a lion who destroys the misconceptions
Of the monists.
Of the monism. That is what is the Badi Simha. But who was he actually? Because Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur writes that he is one in the line of Ramanujacharya, one of his disciples. But who was he? I couldn't search much on it.
Yeah, even I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank
you. Mataji, I have one question. You were talking about the consistency in sadhana, like you are telling, like 16 rounds, one day 32 rounds, one day, and one day 8 rounds. But we have a standard that we do 16 rounds. Okay, Mataji, that is there. Everybody will chant 16, but extra rounds that we are doing, sometimes it gets like someday I do nice, someday I go low, someday it will be only minimum. Then is that also need to be checked on? Or it's okay, extra rounds sometimes, if we have time, we can do more.
Extra rounds is okay, but once you are committed, like you're committed that every day from now onwards, I'll chant 32 rounds. Once you committed to Krishna, once you committed to the lordships, then reducing is not good. But that's why Prabhupada always says, keep your standards low. You know, you can always increase your standards. Increasing there is no harm. You can increase any point of time. So therefore, we take a vow of chanting 16 rounds. Yes, we have to, we have to chant 16 rounds no matter what, even if at the lowest platform of performing our duty. But yes, we can always increase our rounds. But those increased rounds it's okay, like sometimes, but people, I have seen normally devotees, they take a vow that, okay, every day I'll chant 25 or I'll chant 30 rounds or 32 rounds. Once you take up to that point, stick to it. Just don't come back to 16. If you have taken the vow of 25, 30, then stick at least to 30. And then, then extra is extra. This is how it is.
Okay, Mataji, got it. Okay, if there are no more questions, we can end the call here. And thank you, Mataji. You are even not feeling well, but still we gave the class.
It's only for my opinion.
Yeah, she's just saving her realization. Very beautiful class. Please take care of your health. The same thing Mataji is also saying. Yeah, we can end the call here. Thank you once again, Mataji, for such a beautiful class. Vanchakartarobhyasya kripasindhubhyev cha pathanam pavanebhyo vaišnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavvrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all praise to Sundari Mataji ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Koti koti dandavat pranam to you.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Kirtida Sundari Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Koti koti dandavat pranam.
Yeah, we are closing.